Let's go to southern part of Africa. Let's go to Zambia, where a critical shortage of Zambia's staple food has hit parts of the country, with consumers queuing up as a result on inadequate supply. Zambia Finance and National Planning Minister Situmbeko Musokotwane responding to his shortage. This shortage says that government has decided to lift take on maize meal imports and also to allow for the imports as well.
Dr. Musokotwane says the SI has lifted all taxes and other fees for maize imports to allow the private sector bring in maize into the country. He said this during the sidelines of the ongoing Springs meeting of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C. Now, this morning, joining us to talk about this is Zambian economist Kelvin Chisanga. Good morning, Kelvin, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, now let's talk about Mealie meal. We understand that it is, in some cases, the second most important staple in your country, and we've seen that there has been an immense shortage. Now, what exactly is the cause of this shortage, regardless of the several information we're hearing as regards the soil and the rain? Can you give us like an idea as to what exactly is causing this shortage and how bad it is?
Well, to begin with, the shortage has got so many complementary issues that I can actually put on the table. Obviously, we are coming from a point where we have just made a new system in terms of governance system for Zambia. Last year, we had some bit of changes that were taking place in the procurement of farming input, and also a lot of things that actually really happened as well. So to begin with, I would say Zambia compromised on the maize stock, which has actually now currently produced this current level of demand pressure. What we actually saw was that there were some little bit of issues to do with the procurement. And obviously, when we started getting to the rain season, where we do mostly our planting season, we basically had a late distribution of input, and that also correlated with the bad shape when it actually happened with the issues to do with the the climate change as well. It had underplayed all these aspects. But largely, what we are able to see is the issue to do with the high demand that has been placed in the regional market as well, where we've got so much of the demanding appetite in Congo, Malawi, and also Tanzania, and even part of Kenya, where we have actually been having quite a demand for maize. And much of what we are able to see is that all this is coming from the geopolitical tension, because the global market pattern have actually been disturbed in a way where we are now able to see some of the goods like wheat and few other staple food are being disturbed. So in this case now, we are having maize in some region where we have got surplus supply, like Zambia, now suffering in this case because even the global or the regional market also is faced with a lot of situation. Like in the case of Malawi, Madagascar, Zimbabwe, and a few other countries in the neighboring countries, they are not able to do substantially good in terms of production. So that has hampered also what we're able to see. And what now we're able to see is that we've got low production also that has been correlating as well for some time. Last year, we had a very strong carryover of about 1.4 million metric tons, which actually augmented with the obviously what we had. So now what we have actually been able to see that we are not able to sufficiently supply the local market, or because the regional market also is highly demanding of the commodity as well. So that is what also correlating to all these factors. And given also the low production that we are expecting to harvest quite soon, also that is also sending a very strong sentiment to the market as well. And that has now put a lot of things in quagmire.
Well, you've broken it down very incisively, but let me also ask, there are reports that there seems to be an alarming rate of smugglers who have also ensured that while they carry out this very bad act, it in turn affects the cost and the prices of the Mealie meal. what has the government done in order to ensure that they stop these smugglers? We hear that they're ready to even go as far as doing it blatantly. They do not care if they're going to face the wrath of the law. How has the government responded to that?
Okay, maybe just to begin with, we have the situation, as I mentioned, the regional market, the neighboring countries have not been doing very much. Maybe I can give a typical example of maybe DRC Congo. DRC Congo has got a province just nearby here, Katanga province, which is actually consuming as much as Zambia's total volumes. Because we see in the aggregate numbers, we're talking of something like 2.7 million metric tons of maize, which in any case, our neighboring country here, just one province consumes almost that much. But even when you look at the current scenario of things as they stand, Congo does not do much of the agriculture. So much of what they do is to do import Zambia and even the other neighboring countries. And Zambia actually does a lot of import into that country. So because of certain contentment that we had put in place in terms of export side to contend with the food security regarding this staple food. And by the way, also being a staple food, also it has also a very strong political tone as well, because obviously this has made itself to be a political crop, because obviously everyone plays around with it as well. But basically, just coming back to the market pattern and dynamics, I think it's an issue to do with also the aspect of low production, which has actually taken place in this case. So now for government to let proper model of having this export done or import done, they're now coming up with certain instruments which are now governing certain incentives, which we are able to see. Like just some few days ago, we saw the Minister of Finance issue duty suspense on Mealie meal import, meaning that we are not able to meet the current demand as it stands right now. But even if it has been done like that, we have a situation where basically we are faced with a lot of challenges to begin with. We have a situation where the regional market is not having this in good quantity as it stands. And even when you look at Zambia's pattern in terms of the milling company, we've got about 90 milling companies that are actually operating this market. Even if it has happened like that, also we have a slow pace as well coming from the government is food agents, which is not releasing stock on time as well. So there are quite a number of things that we are able to see on the table as it stands right now.
Okay, now let's talk about the government lifting duty on Mealie meal. Do you think that removal of this tax is a good move by the government, and how much would it impact the availability of Mealie meal?
Well, yes, what has happened, that is a temporary measure. Government has seen that the more we are forced to go into this chaotic situation where supply is quite high on the market, they have thought of saying, let's suspend the duty to ensure that we have this Mealie meal or rather maize flour available in most of the supermarkets. Because what we have right now is a situation where we've got a rapid shortage of this commodity, which has also caused a lot of panicking around the market players. And much of what we are able to see is there is so much of panic buying as it stands right now. So it's something that that government has futuristically seeing that maybe the best model to work around with is to ensure that we have many players importing this commodity, mostly from South Africa, because obviously when you look at the import inlet that they have put in place right now by suspending the exercise and duties, is to ensure that South Africa interplay into this, because that's where we can have a good inflow of this commodity.
I want to say thank you so much for joining us, Zambian economist Kelvin Chisanga. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Right.